Good morning. This morning, at least for me, this morning, we are going to start our crock pot blueberry butter. We've got our blueberries, crock pot. This right here machine is this. You can also use a food processor, a blender, or just a potato masher, however you want to do it. I only have 2 cups of sugar, 1/4 of a cup of lemon juice with 1/2 a cup of water. This is what cloves look like to begin with. Oh, I can't get out my finger stuff. What a clove looks like before, and then after the grinding process. I buy them this way and grind my own. Don't know if you can buy them pre-ground. And then we're going to be using some cinnamon. You can use fresh blueberries or frozen. I usually do frozen because I can get them at the Dollar Tree for $1 a bag. But yesterday my husband went to help a friend of ours who had a bunch of frozen ones. So I'm using this. This is way more than we probably need. I'll measure out what we need and then show you what was left, but I'm going to end up using them all because I'm not big on following recipes. And I will adjust as I go. Not all of the sugar that it calls for, but I don't want it massively sweet. I like to go under the rule that I can always add more, but you can't take it away. This is only about half of the blueberries that she gave us. It's a really big bowl. This is all of the rest of the blueberries. I'm trying to get them to thaw out. There are still massive bags of blueberries. So we'll be doing something else with those here in a little bit. I'm going to get this processed and then in the crock pot. And then we'll come and look at what we do next. If you're using fresh berries, make sure you wash them, destem them first. So it's wash, destem. I'm going to process and puree them. And then add all of this to the crock pot. And I'm going to let it sit and cook. It calls for 6 to 12 hours. Okay, so I have pulled 10 cups of blueberries, and that's what I'm left with. That's what it looks like if you can see it after I puree it. I'm add everything else, but I am going to add more of that to that. I have a really big pot here in just a minute of it. So I forgot to show you how much I used. In case you saw how that was up to there. It's only about halfway. I will keep count and let you know how many cups I end up using total, just so you have an idea. A lot of it though, you're going to be based on your crock pot size. Okay, so this is the blueberries and everything else added. I ended up using just over 17 cups of blueberries. I've added everything else to it. I'll cook it for a while, come back and check it, and add more sugar or anything else. Seeing as how I added an extra roughly 7.5 cups of blueberries. So I'm going to let this cook. I'll come back in a few hours. We'll check it and see how the... Hi, buddy. Is it hi to the people? No? Okay. It's still really early in the morning. And we'll see how it goes, and then we'll jar it up in a little bit. Okay, so the blueberry butter is done. There is some liquid in there. I'm not going to be too worried about that because it's not very much. It took longer than normally would have for me, only because I added an extra 7 cups of blueberries. But it shrank down by basically half of the crock pot. I've moved my canning jars over here, and you see in the background is a blueberry pie I made while I was waiting. Out of some of the extra blueberries, and I still have a lot of blueberries left. So lots more blueberry cooking and baking. So now what I'm going to do, see if I can do this one-handed, because I didn't set the tripod up. This is actually, did I zoom in or something? Nope. This is actually a canning funnel. Out of all the canning tools, this is the main one that I would recommend ever buying. You can do the jars in and out with tongs if you need to. But this thing is awesome. Hot blueberry butter. Put this down so you can see it go in. We want to have, it's not quite even, but we want to have just a little bit of headspace there. I don't have a towel to sit and look at that beautiful blueberry butter. And you want to take and just kind of wipe off. I know it's kind of hard to see. Wipe off all the way around because you don't want to get blueberry butter underneath the seal where it won't seal, or the edges. Okay. So I'm going to fill all of these jars. This may not be enough for this, but that's okay. I got plenty more jars. This would be the peach butter that's in the other video. I'm going to fix in a can all at once to save time. Here's my pot of water that I forgot to turn on to heat up for canning. There are my lids. So after I fill the jars, I will put one of these on, depending on the size of the jar. And then I will screw on the lid once it comes from there. Then I'll put it in here. It will be in this hot water, almost boiling water, for 10 minutes. And then I will show you what it looks like from there. These are the labels that you typically get if you buy the Walmart brand jar. It comes with one sheet. As you can tell, I've torn mine off. One sheet is enough to have one label for every jar that comes in that case. Or you can do like I've done, because of course I reuse my jars. You can buy this, which is an entire roll of labels. This is the actual label design. This is what the label will look like. As you can see here, you can use it for 30 minutes for it to dry, so you can move them if you have to. I've never tried that, so I don't know how well that works. These, if you sit the jar in water, this label right here will come right off, so try not to get your label totally wet while you are actually storing them, and make sure you wait until your jar is completely dry after it's been canned. Wait for it to totally cool. So by the time it's totally cool, it is totally safe to put this on and the label won't rub off on you, so you know what you've got. There's enough space on this label, depending on what you're making, to write the entire name across and when you made it. I put the name across the middle and then the month and the year that I made it right here, just so that I have that, so I know. These, I usually put the name across the middle, the date in the bottom. Thank you. So depending on which label you use, these right here, you have to scrape them a lot to get these off. These don't wash right off. If you want them to wash right off real easily, buy you a box of these. They're like, I want to say they're under $4 a box, but I don't remember. I've had these for a while now. And make sure it says dissolvable labels. They come off so easy. These, not so easy. You have to scrub at those. Okay, so I took the basket out. It was kind of bugging me this morning because I couldn't get the jars to fit quite right. So I took it out. So this is all of the blueberry butter. You remember we had the big flat one? So you can see them in there. And then this little one. These can actually sit right on top of each other, so you can process them all at the same time. So they're all in there. Timer. But I forget my timer. Okay, so all of the blueberry butter is in here. We're going to let it sit, let it go, let it process, and then we'll be done with it. Okay, so the blueberry butter is done. There's all of these. As you can tell, I can push down on the lid. No popping sound. That means they're canned. This is one I haven't done yet. This is some of the peach, if you listen. Okay, that tells you it's not canned. This is one of the jars of blueberry. He didn't can. Now, when it comes to these, you can even let it sit and see if it'll finish canning, but it's still not technically safe. You can put this straight in the fridge, use this one right away, or since I'm canning more, I'm going to toss him back in with this set, let him can again, process again, and then we'll see if he's done. If he doesn't work then we will take him and stick him in the fridge and he'll just get eaten. Now, some of these, like this one here, is totally hard. He's done. Some of these kind of move a little bit, Like, he doesn't make sounds, but they do move a little bit. That one does some too. That one would be something I definitely watch on that one. That one's a little louder than most. But just pay attention to them. Some of these are really hot, so they will actually, as they cool, they'll finish canning, and you'll hear this loud pop sound. I'm going to toss him back in. I don't like that. It's too much bubble. Some of these have a little bit of give. So I'm going to let them go and see if they will take and pop on their own, which means they're finished canning. And if they do, then we'll do good. If not, we'll go from there. So this one. Okay, we're going to stick him back in here. Check out the water. Okay, timer is set for 10. I tend to pull them out and put them on towels just so that it catches the water. I'm going to tell you now while I'm thinking about it, because I probably won't think about it later. And I'm not going to show you just putting labels on there. Most of the jars have a little area that's flat while the rest is raised or designed. That's where your label goes. Once they are totally done, let me grab a jar that actually is already pre-canned. Okay, so this is some watermelon that I made the other day. As you can tell, see, there's no give. The label's on there. See, this is the water dissolvable ones. Dated there, it was made in July of 2014. As you can tell, it's really, really thick. We will be making some of this jelly still to come. This is made from actual fresh watermelon. But what you want to do is when they're done and they're totally cool, because you want to be able to touch them. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can get you a little pedestal here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is the top of the jar. I'm going to take and open this. Now, taking this off will not break the seal of this canned jar. But when you do, you want to take it off when it's cool enough you can touch it and wipe this part. You can't see from my hand. Wipe all of this down and wipe on the inside of this ring kind of down, or take this part off and just kind of sit it next to your jar for a couple hours. The reason is because they were canned, water will get in the crevices in here while it's canning. And you'll have water on these lids from where they were sitting in the water to soften up the wax ring before you actually use them. And if you don't take this off and either dry it out or let it air dry, you run the risk of getting rust inside of there. They recommend you replace these little lids. You can get these really easy at the store in the box, just like those ball labels, to replace these. But you can actually reuse these without a problem. But if they get all rusted, of course, you can't use them. But if they do get rusted, you can actually turn these into craft projects as well. If you're interested, comment down below, and I will actually show you what you can do with these if they get all rusted. Cute little things. There are multiple uses, and we can cover some of those. After it's totally cooled, dried, close it up, tighten it up, store it. Show you. You don't want to just leave it sitting out in the sunshine on the shelf. You want to take it and put a lot of these are empty. Down here, those are like the last store-bought ones I bought, which I'm not sure how good they actually are. Most of these past these front few jars are actually ones I've made. If you look back up in there, you will see cherry limeade. Oh, I am very shaky. I am so sorry. Cherry limeade. Okay. This stuff was all made back in July of 2012 and is still good. We are still eating it and it still tastes like I just freshly made it. If you don't have a lot of people and you like to make cakes, right your screen, you can actually bake a cake in the jar. That's actually Funfetti cake mix. Back when I was making it, and I put a little label on it using my label maker. I've made banana bread, different kind of cakes. You can actually bake them in the jar and put a canning lid on them and can them while they are still hot, and they will seal, and they are actually still good. I wouldn't keep them forever, but you can keep them for a while and they're actually pretty good. Store them in a cool, dry kind of dirt placed. You don't want them sitting out just everywhere. That's about it. As you can see, yeah, you can see I have a lot of candy jars. So there's lots more coming.